Redler.com. It's good to be back. I just flew in. I landed around 12:30 U.S. time, was away for a week training and teaching traders around the world, mostly from Eastern Europe. I do this trip once or twice, once a year, once every 2 years, and it's great to see, like-minded traders that use technical analysis, that trade patterns and make a living. First time I was there, I think it was 8 years ago, and some of these guys were, 22, and now, some of them are 28 or 30 and married, have kids, and so much going on, and everyone's just so thankful, that they've been taught enough to have a career and make good money and enjoy life. So it's always good to go back and see a lot of faces, and it's just like, wow, it's like this routine, the process, the fitness, you put it together and you can do this for a long time. And that's what I try and teach everyone here, is about your routine, your process, and your fitness and your balance. So this way, when things aren't moving as well, you don't get frustrated to do other things. When things are great, you're not letting your highs get too high, and you're just staying even keel. All the things that you have to do in order to be successful. So even the last week or two for me was a little tough too, because I like my routine. I like being up early. I like having 3 hours of preparation. Me and Dave Prince, we were out there in Eastern Europe, and we were teaching for 3 hours a day prior, and then game planning, and then sitting down at the desk and getting ready to trade. With 15 minutes to spare, I felt like a fish out of water. And that's why I say I would always get pissed when I was in New York and we had a floor full of people, and all of a sudden, I'd be in from 6 in the morning, someone would come at 9, 10, oh, what should I trade today? I'm like, come on, how are you going to be successful over time if that's the way you do it? Everyone has their own process. Everyone does it differently, but it's good to be back. It is August 30th. I have to actually show the disclosure. I'm sorry. It was an interesting week to be gone. If you remember, I left a week ago Monday, and I had like probably 7 to 8 swing trades on, which I tried to say, hey, I want to simplify it. I want to have a few things on. So there are some things I don't want to miss, and some things I don't mind missing because, again, I'm away from my desk. I'm not in my normal environment. Pretty much did that for the last 2 weeks. So I almost felt kind of like some of you that don't trade full time for a living. Some of you who could be a dentist, a doctor, a fireman, a lawyer. Some of you who are like, I can't always, actively manage my positions, but if something is a swing trade and there's no reason to get out of it, I want to make money in it. And some things, actually, if you remember a lot of the swing stop areas, a lot of things were perfectly fine and traded and made money, and you didn't even have to do much. Some things, I personally over traded, and I got back in and made some good money, but didn't have to. So it's a good exercise sometimes to do things a bit differently. So then, I could think about how you guys thinking about things differently. So anyway, here's a chart of the SPYs. All I preach is about moving averages. My moving averages book, and when you're above the AUG-30-21 day, I went over this in the lectures this week. You want to be long. You want to have a portfolio approach. You want to try and massage some positions. And if you look here, it looked as if maybe we were going to head down to the 50-day, and then all of a sudden 360-187 got reclaimed. Then the market showed power once again when it took out this 365. That pattern has happened like 7-8 times in the past year. One of the times it might not happen, and then we'll go from a reduction in positions, and then we'll be more tactical, more trading, less carrying, and then more volatility to trade. Until that happens, we try and stay the course. So Friday it turned up when Powell came out at 10 o'clock. It was kind of tricky. For those of you watching on the virtual trading floor, I did react pretty fast when it sounded as if Powell was pretty dovish. Tried to prepare everyone that's saying, hey, the street was a little worried about September. If all of a sudden it's December, that's not, that's pretty much par for the course, 10 to 15 billion in September. In December is what the market wanted to hear, not starting in September. So you had to be prepared and react fast, and did catch some really decent trades as things reversed. So right here, that was this day, and then today you got your follow through. So what could happen tomorrow? I don't know. It could be an inside day, or maybe you have day 3 up, right? Day 1, day 2, and you always want to trim on day 3. I'm actually hearing my voice from the week because I did literally 15 hours worth of education about all of these things: day count rules, tier system, moving averages, portfolio approach versus tactical approach, chart patterns. I literally, for 15 hours. So, and I look at it, and it's like that's how I go about my process in business. So sometimes it's good for me to teach it So it rehearses and refreshes it in my head. My friend Cliff Young, I remember, I don't know if he's still listening to me. He's out on Long Island, and he came to one of my Redler Ultimate Access events. I did one in Florida, and I did one in New York, and he was a very successful trader. And I think he was like 46 at the time, and or maybe a little older. I don't know. Anyway, he's like, that course was like a tune-up. I'm like, everyone needs a tune-up. Cars need tune-ups, especially if you're getting a little old. Not saying Cliff's a little old. I'm just saying. Anyway, so there were a bunch of guys there too that, I was teaching the Red Dog reversal tactic again. The HL setup, like, oh, we know this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show it how it happened 10 other ways, from 2018 to 2021 versus when I was showing you how they were happening in 2016 to 2018. So obviously it's a pattern that repeats themselves. It's definitely a good thing to revisit it and look at it. So it just reinforces the tactic and gives you more confidence. And this way, maybe you take bigger size and you make more money. That's how it goes. Anyway, oh, there's Cliff, right? Did you listen? I gave you a shout out. I gave you a shout out. What did you say the course was for you? You were all excited. You were this big successful trader. And it's hard to give courses in Florida and New York because everyone from Florida and New York think they're the biggest players out there. They know everything. So it's pretty impressive, when I can have a room full of people there, hanging out, learning, and you go to Eastern Europe, and not saying they're a little bit behind the U.S. and Florida because now they think they're ahead. Anyway, I'm not kidding. Lots of funny dynamics out there. So really nice trend. How did it start? When they reclaimed 361, another nice active sequence. I feel like if anything, I was teaching people out there because I had my best year by 5 times, like a lot of you guys in 2021. 2020, right now it's 2021, was really the fact that, it used to be, I remember, but prior to it, I would say you make about 80% of your money during 20% of the time. And usually 3 times a year, you get a really nice active sequence that you could pound and make money and have a lot of stocks on and trade some size, and it's fast and it's furious. And I'm like, in 2020, it just happened to be, instead of 3 of them, there were 9 of them. So anyway, this to me now looks like another active sequence that you could have made some decent money with. Like if you got chopped up in here as it digested the last active sequence, here was a nice new one. Wasn't perfect. Nothing's perfect. It's also August, so don't be upset at yourself if you didn't do as well. I think if I check, I'm finally back to my highs of the year again by a little bit. Traders love to be at their highs of the year. Anyway, these are the cues. Okay. Oh, I was going over the cues the whole time. I'm still a little brain dead from this trip. Spies. Let's go to the spies. Okay. Why didn't anybody tell me? Anyway, you guys know. So basically, tech led the move. So that's even better. You know why? Because think about to yourself. One of the things that Prince did while we were there is he tried to connect the dots for the big picture trader, for people who, have been doing it longer. Big picture. Meaning know a little bit about everything, the dynamics behind it, the axes in the stock, the underwriters of the deal. Like he was very up on showing how new stocks that were IPOs of the past year came out. So instead, like the UPST and DOCs and some of those prior. So if you do some research and then the market confirms it, you could find new stocks. Kind of like what we did. Remember Palantir? That was a really big stock for us at 11. We found it really early because Joe was in the private. But anyway, this was a little bit different. On this day, I remember I did get stopped out of a bunch of things, as I was trading in the Ukraine. Got below the prior low. I got stopped out of a few things on Thursday, but you know me. On the day after, this market doesn't remember. I got back involved because what? It went back above this area. That candle meant nothing. Here we are now at 453.07. So this candle probably got you to get out of some risk. It did. I was also there and I was not as prepared, so I tried not to overdo it. And the last thing I want to do is lose money and be in a bad mood when I'm trying to teach and visit friends or whatnot. So anyway, so if you got out when it got below this candle, okay, maybe you got back in some risk when it got above this spot or even this spot, or at least hopefully not fought it, and then all of a sudden this happens. So that's that. The IWM played some catch up. Okay, which is good to see. It's been in this channel for a long time, so I need to refresh this. If you remember, Some guys like, hey, I'm going in for a broken bounce, and that was when the IWM cleared this little candle here, this doji. What's good about a doji is after multiple days, a doji shows that the movement to the downside, sometimes the movement constricts, and then you use that candle the following day to get the short-term direction, and here it is above this, and you could add your 2-day move, and did pretty well. Do I think it's going to, let me get this out of the way, do I think it's going to just take off and get above this channel? I don't know, but market likes when the small caps are doing better, and plus we do, because when the small caps start having a huge day one into a day two, they're fun. A lot of you guys caught that last week. We were there when everyone was ranting and raving about SRPT, and I don't know, there were a bunch of them, BIGG or whatever it is. So, for a while, none of the news plays were working, none of the big volume plays were working, and lately a few are working a little more. So, you're able to change for that. So now what? I would say that this has come a long way. It's extended from the moving averages, so I would think the small caps could, I don't know why it's not letting me draw the line, could take a little bit of a breather. Hold on one more second here. Oh, there you go. So now we'll see, does this hold above here? I would say, it could even get down to this area. I'm going to get rid of this line because this line doesn't matter as much. This really is the next spot. The channel is moving further. So this really was a nice commitment to this move off the lows. So there is an active sequence now that has started. Maybe, feeler here. 3 days proved it could hold it. It had another wedge. This time the wedge to the upside. This wedge, remember that one to the downside. This wedge to the downside. Now, what was different about this one? It reclaimed the moving averages and held above it. So we'll see what happens if we could hold this upper quadrant to then go. XLF, I've been sitting in literally for like, I don't even know, from in here, managing it a little bit. Today was, a weaker candle because they went after tech. Some guys like, Red Dog, why don't you sell the rest of your XLF? I'm like, A, I was on the plane, and B, I think they said the same thing right here, but I held it for the retest of this 37 area. So we'll see. Do I think this is a double top? And will I be pointing at this in a month from now? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll see. Since I'm light, I'm going to give it more room. I haven't been really trading. Oh, look at Tesla still's going. That was a nice trade. Bought a little bit more at the end of the day too. Anyhow, so we'll see if this winds up being a little bit of a double top in the XLF or not. As far as some of the names we tried to swing, I think some people had a lot of success with those. One of them being Apple. Apple, we've been waiting for this move for quite some time, and then finally I was on a plane when it happened, so that is why I had the 152.5 calls. Okay, for those of you who were here, you definitely should have been more than prepared to be buying it through 150.86, buying it through 151.67, went as high as 153. I did buy a little bit stock later. I was sitting on the runway. It was like 152 and change. I'm like, I still think if it's a real breakout, it's only 152. You should go to 155. So I did trim some of the 152.5 calls. They made some nice money, and this is the VTF. What's it called? How did AMD flat? I have AMD in my swinging cat. I don't know why it shows flat. But anyway, some things didn't close perfectly, but whatever. So yeah. So Apple should have been something. Some of you guys, like I said, the swing trade was to hold it versus 144.50, right? Or maybe even by 142, whatever that was. So again, you were out for the summer vacationing and you're calling to see, is Apple above 144.50 or it was 142, wherever it was. You never got out of it. When I was in the Ukraine and I'm an active trader and I wasn't here to get back into it, I think I got stopped out on this day because it went below. If you picked this up, it went below the prior low. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a little tight here. I could always buy it back. And then on Friday, it did, and I didn't buy it back. And then I was on a plane. But you know what? I was smart because I took calls instead. And last week I had calls on also, but I was also in the stock. And the 152.5s didn't work. Now it'll work. So sometimes you're waiting, but when it happens, you got to get in there. The one problem I have with Apple, which is not a problem, I know there's a court case that was supposed to settle. It was supposed to be mid-August. Right now it's August 30th. So there is a macro kind of event that's that could happen if they lose. They have to pay. I don't know the whole thing. Look up epic Apple court, and you'll see there's something out there that could be negative, or it could really cause a real big squeeze, which could cause that little last ramp up into, for those of you who think September is going to be a hard time. All right, now it hasn't shown you anything. All I know is, this could now, lead the way. And just so you know, like a lot of people are away. What does Apple have? Apple has a big buyback, right? So Apple, while people are away and no one's really a seller, you have this whole thing, it could drift up. So again, you could have been in a nice swing trade here, ever since this spot, and then traded around it. And today was your day to add. And now I'd like to see it hold this 151.67 now, so if it were to open lower, you buy it to go green. If it opens up a little bit, you trim some and trade around it. You guys know that. Facebook, I held through the whole thing. Made some nice money in Facebook while I was gone. Facebook, I really used the right stop here. I think my stop was somewhere below 359. I never got there, so I've been sitting in Facebook this entire time. Gave you lots of ways to trade a tier system around it, and now it closed at highs. I did trim a little bit just because, 2 nice days. So I figured, hey, I know it just broke out, but I just want to book some trades, make some money, net money. I said net money probably 20 times in the last week, because that's what I want to get in these guys' heads, to net money, because some of them were all or none. Some of them weren't using a tier system. So my goal was just to say, hey, you could take trades along the way and net money. It doesn't have to be, wait till it gets to here, because if it doesn't get to there and then it doesn't happen, it goes lower and lower and you're not making any money. But anyway, this very pretty move. What is it above the 8-day, above this little spot? A lot to love there, a lot to like in Facebook, huh? Like Facebook, get it? Anyway, that was a good one, right? Red Pup missed me, I think, a little bit. Microsoft, thank goodness for him. If I didn't have him, you guys would have had a lot less the last 2 weeks. So Microsoft looks pretty good, right? Red Dog reversal right here. I probably could have went up. I probably could have went back to it if I was at my desk, but I wasn't. 298.95. That kind of happened when Powell spoke. I know Microsoft and Apple were like the weakest ones on Friday, and then I guess because they were dovish, it switched pretty quickly. So it reclaimed 298.95, 298.95. I didn't go back to it. I was trying to swing this. Microsoft, they just haven't really been able to. I haven't done that well with Microsoft ever since we made really good money all the way back here when it broke out of the first channel, or even below there. Anyway, some guys are doing really well. Now you have this 304, 305. It's looking like if the NASDAQ wants to go, this can go again. Base on base on base. Someone I spoke to who manages a really big fund is like short Microsoft since like 264. I'm like, what tells you to short this thing? He's like, well, did you see how much it's up? I'm like, so just because that's how much it's up, you want to short it? And imagine what they do with the meme stocks. Later, Phil. Anyway, looks pretty good. Something to watch for tomorrow. Remember Netflix, the call spread we put on? Pretty nice, right? Look at that channel. Nice channel. Well, what did we put on here? I don't even remember. I think 2 weeks ago I was like, you know what? I don't want to miss Netflix if it's going to break out above the channel, because sometimes I don't like the way Netflix trades. So let me just be in a call spread. So I bought the 560s and I sold the 595s. So a 35-point spread. I think I did it right around here. Because I remember I was in Montauk and I missed that. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to miss if this thing is going to break above the channel and get to 600. So sometimes when you know you're not going to be at your desk, you put on a call spread. I didn't know if it's going to happen. Figured if it's going to happen, it has to happen in a few weeks. So that's why I didn't do it so short term. I probably should have done a few short term, a few long term. But anyway, it's working. So now this is a pretty big level going sideways. This is actually gone. 560, 570. Yeah. So we'll see. Anyway, so hopefully some of you guys made some money there. Amazon, I sold puts because I haven't really wanted to be what's the word? Frustrated, or it had a nice active sequence, but I didn't want to complicate things. I had too much going on. So what did I do? I just sold some puts, and I collected some premium for last Friday. We sold them last Monday for Friday. Sold them for 7 or 8, 0. Sometimes that's a lazier way to do it. Some of you guys are Red Dog, I made 60 points in the call spread. Why didn't you do the call spread like you did the last time? I'm like, I probably should have. Remember last time I bought the call spread for 14 and sold them for like 65? Well, some people did that again. And that looks, and actually look how symmetrical that looks. But for me, it's hard to trade Amazon at your desk. Actually, probably would have been an easier way. I could have just put stops in, and as long as it stayed special, been there, and it did. You know, you had this big move, bull flag. I remember it was stronger when the market was weaker. You know, late last week, and now all of a sudden it's looking like it's going to fill this gap. Had a nice move. So if you did a call spread, you made good money. If you bought on this day when it cleared this descending trend line, right? I showed that pattern while I was away. This igniting bar, what did it do? It showed commitment to it, and now here you are, you know, back into perhaps a gap fill. You know, I just sold some puts because I'm like, you know what, it could go fill the gap, but I'm not going to trade it. But I give myself, you know, 50 points of room, so that worked. Tesla was a great one today. I wish I was at my desk. I probably would have made a lot more money, but I wasn't. I was actually in Germany this morning when it went through. So got through 717, hit 731. Where's the next spot? Maybe 749. So probably should have had a call spread on. Instead, I'm just in the stock, which is fine. You know, nice bull flag at a trend line, inflection point. Not so bad. You know, I know we tried it here, it didn't work, but then again, it rebuilt and then finally had a nice move. I actually, you know, got out of it on this day right here. I actually lost money there on this day, and then I put it back on Friday because I didn't want to miss it. Thank goodness. Otherwise, if that move happened today and I wasn't in it because I tried to be too perfect, I would have been really pissed. So I'm glad I made some good money there. I still have it overnight. It's one of my bigger positions. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If it opens down, you buy it. If it opens up, you sell some. Sorry for the hoarse voice. So that's kind of like high beta tech land. I wonder what Snap did while I was away. I didn't really look at it. Yeah, it's still going sideways. It's taking its time. Who's talking right now? Oh, Pentagon's talking, not Biden. I wonder why. Anyway, anybody see the 13 glasses of beers and shots that all these restaurants are putting everywhere? I think that's pretty cool. You know, give them a little respect. Say their names. Anyway, it's looking pretty good. It's something that could be on the radar. Some guys at the end of the day said, hey, look at Twitter. Yeah, Twitter is trying to, like, you know, be a little bit better. Just shouldn't be an A play. Should be something you maybe buy versus an area. Maybe it could head its way back up towards here. Someone said, look at UPST. You know, UPST, we were talking about it. You know, I think a lot of people bought it versus the pro earnings gap, or when it got above 172 or above 191, and now it's, you know, it's trending, but this is a pretty ugly candle. To me, if I had a lot of size, I would have definitely sold some. You know, as it got above here and couldn't hold it, but it's still above the 8-day, so you just have to keep it in perspective. Team, we did sell. That was a nice day trade, nice swing trade. I think I bought it on this day, I added on this day, and I sold it here. I actually wanted to prove a point. I wanted to show these guys out there who are looking at the virtual trading floor, watch how something leaves. You could be sitting here in the Ukraine, or you could be in Uzbekistan and Tashkent and say, hey, I'll be in team as long as Red Dog's in team, but if Red Dog's out of team, I'm out of team. And they got out of it, so they saw it disappear. So it was just good to show them how it works. AMD was probably my best trade on Friday. Today I missed adding to it. I missed selling it. So we'll see what happens now. Not the best looking candle. Got through this perfect point. But again, you have to put it in perspective. Where's the 8-day? How far away is it? Here's your buy. Here's your add. You know, maybe here's an add, and then there's your trim. So now you sit in some. You know, if you get rid of all of it, you're probably not going to, you know, you might lose sight of it. So that's why I'm going to stay in some. But this wasn't the best candle today. But, you know, perspective-wise, again, yeah. If you were in tier 1, tier 2, you know, where tier 1 you added to tier 2 and trim some, I'd be a tier 1 because it could come back to here and be just fine. Palantir, the same thing. You know, went as high as 2660. I've been holding it in this whole area, and I did add to some of it on Friday. I didn't trim into strength today because I wasn't on my desk. I'd feel a little better about myself if I was able to sell some into the strength, but we'll see. You know, this is not a A+ trade. It's just something that you could sit in and, and hopefully makes you some money, or if it's a swing. It's not really. It's a hard day trade. You need a lot of size to day trade this thing. Let's see. Someone asked me, why did I buy ZEV? Hollywood called it out, potential big, short squeeze candidate by a bunch of different people. So I saw the decent size day one. So I bought a little bit. That's why it's on there. It's not an over focus. It's just perhaps something, some of these are working sometimes, and they're not all working. Some guy said, why are you in this QUBT? It's just, this also was like a big trade way back when. This is a friend of mine, loved this stock. It went to 25 quantum computing. It was a huge thing. It went, just got listed here, and looks like a nice little active sequence maybe. It's not an over focus. I'm not over trading it. I just have, 7 to 14 positions on, so it happens to be one of them for now. And today actually looks better than the last few days, so maybe it works its way back towards here, which is, 10 plus. Do some homework on it. A lot of people really like the story here, but again, it's a small cap. And that's really it. It's 4:43. I'm a little tired. I'm glad that everyone's been able to communicate, and I probably could go over another 20 charts, but I'm not going to. I give you guys, usually the upper part of my note and go-to list. Oh, let's look at crypto a little bit. Crypto is interesting. Ethereum still one of my bigger, my bigger crypto holdings. If you guys remember, we really bought it well in here, and then I trimmed a little bit, and then I bought more, and I trimmed a little bit, and then I actually bought more on this day, and it's probably my biggest position, even though I haven't really wanted to buy, in upper areas, but I like this chart pattern. I like this commission, this commitment right here, and then maybe 35 to 3700s that next area. So if it happened to have broken 2900, I probably, like this, if this candle didn't come in, I probably would have reduced a little bit and not been on my exact highs, but I'm pretty close to the highs of my crypto account. I've made multiple new highs. Bitcoin is still hanging around. Maybe this is the time when Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, and then it gets us closer to another corrective phase. But you can't be too upset with Bitcoin still hanging here. It's still above the moving averages. So Bitcoin itself is allowed to relax. We've been in Bitcoin also. I'm not in Bitcoin right now, okay? But I'm in 5 other cryptos. But this does seem like it could hold in here. You now have a new point of reference. As long as Bitcoin holds this area, it's fine. Okay, if it were to break this area, I would think maybe, this big move that we saw since the July 20 ignition point could be over. But if it stays above it and goes sideways, your next move could be the upside. Maybe I'll buy it for a trade, as if I'm just trying to day trade it. I haven't really tried to day trade crypto. It's been more like a really big swing. I approach crypto kind of like how some of you who don't trade for a living approach the stock market, and it's been working. I turned my $20,000 that I put in just as a trial, just to engage it, back here. Okay, right here, when I was like, I want to play a breakout in Bitcoin, started here, and then I was like, holy cow, it traded so well technically. So that account I think is closer to 70 grand now. So from 20 to it's probably around 70 if I put it all back together. So I'm pretty happy about that. I didn't think when I first went into it, I didn't think that could happen, but it's been trading great. And you know what? If it wouldn't have done this and broken down, I'd probably be sitting at like 58,000 and in a lot of cash and waited. So don't be in a rush to do a lot of things. So I'm not going to get into all the altcoins. I'm in a few of those also, maybe tomorrow. And that's about it. It's good to be back. Again, the next week or so could be a little choppy also, with just the content and everything. It is Labor Day coming up, and a lot of people are gone. Actually, it's Chase's birthday tomorrow, so 8 kids. We're bringing them to the lake, to do some tubing and stuff in the afternoon. So I have to leave midday, but I'll be in the morning to get everything going and put my stops. And I just tomorrow might be the only day I'm not here for the close. He's turning 13. He's not getting bar mitzvah, so we chose something different for him to do. So it didn't feel like he was copying everybody who was getting bar mitzvah. I'm Jewish. My wife's Italian, so he never went to Hebrew school, so he can't have a bar mitzvah, right? If you don't go to Hebrew school, you can't have a bar mitzvah. And he didn't want to just have a 13-year-old party because he thought that was weird. So instead, his 8 best buddies are going to go for a little excursion tomorrow. So my wife needs a little help with it. Anyway, I'll be here in the morning, back in my normal morning routine. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for everyone understanding that every now and then, that kind of week and a half of, of me not being in my normal process happens, but doesn't happen often. And, here and there it could be this or that, but all in all, you made it. And we'll see how we could make the fourth quarter our best quarter, because usually it is. So we'll see if that's the case, and hopefully I can get everyone back to the highs of their year and then some, right? Or just, making the right choices. You don't always have to be at the highs of your year. You just have to make the right choices. Sometimes the market, if you make the right choices, pay you well. Sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on the composure. And in the last few days, there's been some good chart patterns triggering. So if you're in the right stocks, you should have been able to make some money. And hopefully you did. And hopefully I helped. And hopefully Red Pup, who held down the fort, helped. Here, come show him the shirt. So, so basically, this was one of the presents. It's traditional shirt from the Ukraine, and I don't know none of the 100 traders I saw was wearing it, but they said sometimes at family holidays they wear it. Kind of cool. But they got that for me for Red Pup. Let's see if you can get in. Maybe at the next happy hour.
I'll wear it tomorrow.
You can wear it tomorrow?
No, but
it's
maybe
nice.
The
it's
next
a nice.
happy
Feel
hour.
it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's good quality. Next happy hour, I'll wear it.
Next happy hour, and I'll wear. I got like this a thing I got when I went to Uzbekistan. They gave me like the robe, and they also got one for Chase. And maybe we'll come and dress like that, or not. Anyway, good night. Hopefully you have a great summer and getting ready for the school year and Labor Day with which is some happiness, because it's another season coming. I love the fall. Can't wait for it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later.